Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy Thursday to you. We're taking a look here at Luna, Terra Classic, of course, kind of seeing what's going on. Best practice, big picture, the whole 9 yards, trying to help make sure you understand that whole thing. All right, so taking a look here, of course, at Terra Classic. Simply put, it's doing very, very well. Once more, had some corrective activity yesterday, but it did break through that resistance level that we had established. So I'll take a look at that and much more, of course. If you're new to the channel, obviously make sure that you consider joining. CryptoCache.tech is a website, link in the description below. Have a lot of new members coming over here recently. Thank you so much for your support. A really awesome experience with the Trading Academy community and Signal Group. So check that out in your own time. Also to offer discounts for third world countries and military as well. So feel free to message me. Just make sure you use the contact information in the comment section below. Or correction, sorry, in the details, because I will never solicit you or direct message you. Just know that there's a lot of trolls that are trying to solicit you. So that being said, taking a look here at Terra Classic, what we want to understand is a small handful of things. First of all, why is it doing so well? Well, it's likely a fundamental catalyst, but also keep in mind, based on the technical here, we're still working on this ascending trend, right? So this ascending trend is our friend, and we got to continue to expect that to maintain itself until it doesn't, right? So in other words, the price action could very well, go like this for some time, but as long as it stays above this ascending trend, we should be in pretty good shape. In fact, let's take a look at the moving averages. The 20-day simple moving average is starting to work itself concurrent with that trend, and that is a very common characteristic at first, and eventually, over time, we should see the 50 also working as a support level too. So those are things that are going to be positive later down the road, but for now, they're trailing behind, you could say, because the price action is jumping up so fast. So that being said, where are we at on the overextension? Well, we're still overextended like crazy on the RSI, basically telling us in the last 14 days of trading, the price action is way higher than it should be, and it's considered to be, overinflated, right? So there's nothing we can do to change that except for the price action going sideways for a couple of weeks and it calming down and kind of calming down, so to speak. But for now, that's kind of just the way that is. So extremely overextended, and of course, MACD is converging like crazy, right? So again, things are still looking good here. I would say until we have this convergence starting to subside, we should expect the price to continue, right? So this oscillator is very awesome to be able to kind of tell you when a shift in momentum could occur. Right here is when we had the hardest pullback from Luna. It was like 5 days ago, right? But the price action kind of capped out and then eventually broke through its resistance level, okay? So again, that is telling us, for the most part, we're still in good shape, even though the RSI is conflicting in that sense, telling us that we are well outside of that standard deviation and we're too overextended, okay? Again, some of that stuff doesn't necessarily matter in the circumstances that we have with coins like this. So just to kind of touch on that, if we take a look at Luna Classic, we can kind of see here that, once again, moving averages, we're staying well above that. That's excellent news. That's kind of par for the course. But what's great about this is that the RSI, anytime it comes close to 50, it bounces and continues higher. So even though there are corrective patterns that we're seeing here, they're not substantial enough to kind of give us the indication that we're at all bearish. Okay, so again, on the 4-hour time frame, it's telling us that the midterm is positive and it should likely continue higher. Again, how much higher is it going to go in the immediate future? It's hard to say specifically, but based on Fibonacci, we do have other levels of just say 65,500 and roughly 75,000 as the next key level targets that could be hit. Okay, again, no guarantees in that sense, but they are looking pretty good. Excuse me, sorry. Getting over a cold here recently, so my voice might come in and out throughout the video. All right, so let's go ahead and summarize here. 4-hour time frame looks good. That's the bottom line. I like what I see here so far. Definitely looking good in that sense, and even though the daily looks overextended, it still has that benefit of the MACD kind of still converging, so to speak, for the oscillators increasing. But once we start to see that dissipate, that's when we have maybe a cause for concern, right? Because you want to ensure that the volume is going to continue to match. So we saw a lot of volume here recently, particularly when the price action decreased. So when you have increased volume and the price action is coming down, that tells you there's a lot of selling pressure, but also buying pressure. So the price action came down, was able to recover, and now it's kind of trying to react here. So what we should expect is for right around 48,800 to be a key level support, because that was the most recent resistance level, okay? So that should work essentially as a support level. Looking at the 1 hour, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the cloud. It is starting to lose its momentum, but still looking pretty good here. So if you can kind of squeeze in here, you can see we are not converging here just yet. In other words, the lagging span doesn't intersect with the price action. The conversion line's above the baseline, and we're still above the cloud. So we still have all green lights here to leave your long position open. Okay. Now again, when it did this previously, it kind of price action got intersected there with the lagging span. That was a case in point where if you're a conservative trader, you would have wanted to take your profits. Okay. Again, everyone has different types of risk tolerances, right? If you're more of a risky trader, you might want to just let it ride. Obviously, if you're a long-term hodler, whatever the case is, let it go. Don't worry about it. But for the most part, if you're trading specifically in ranges and you're kind of more of a day trader, for example, then this is a good indication to kind of tell you that we're free and clear for the moment, good to go. But in another 12 hours, we might need to reassess. Okay, so that's essentially what we're looking at there. The last thing to kind of summarize with would be TD sequential. Excuse me. We can see a lot of different nines here on the chart. So Luna is good about hitting overextended situations, to upside or downside and reversing. So we can see here we hit a 9 here previously to the downside, and then of course it ramps up to another 9 here. In other words, 9 hours in a row of continuation to the upside. We had a nice small little correction here, a little reset, back up to another 9. Okay, so we've seen 2 9s in a row, followed by a previous 9 to the downside. So hypothetically, the price action could come down and consolidate closer to 48,800 roughly, but in all reality, when you hit 2 9s in a row, it's commonly overextended, and it makes sense that the price action just went for a free fall for a moment there. But it's nice to see the price action bounce off that key level support and continue higher. So again, mostly positive here. There's really nothing that's adverse, and it does seem like it's very realistic for Terra Classic to continue higher. And to touch on that too, so you understand, I think I highlighted this earlier, but generally speaking, we have right about 65,500 and 74,000 as just a round number, essentially as the next key levels. And of course, the 2.0, which is basically 2x of the most recent resistance for Terra Classic, would be right in the range of 88,900. So 89,000 will be a round number for that. That would be the potential for this to occur. Now again, when I say potential, it's basically just taking the most recent experience and essentially duplicating it, right? So you're just doubling what had happened previously. The likelihood of that happening is fairly low, and the reason why I think it's important to recognize this is because we need consolidation before the price continues to increase. For example, like to get to 1 cent, we're only 5% of the way to 1 cent, right? We're gonna have to literally 95% higher than we're at presently to be able to hit that level, all right? That's gonna take some time. This parabolic increase, traditionally speaking, isn't sustainable, all right? And if we saw previously, I remember showing like 3 white soldiers and then followed by a fourth red day. Well, we are at two white soldiers here, right? So if we have a strong green day tomorrow, we could expect another pullback. It doesn't necessarily have to be super large, but it's gonna be that natural corrective pattern, okay? Because again, what goes up must come down, and if it'll come down harder if it doesn't have a chance to go sideways. We need some sideways action from Terra Classic. This was nice, all well and good, nice little 36 hours or something, very short and abbreviated consolidation at that resistance. But if we don't do that again, we're going to run into some problems. So just be mindful of the fact that these super large candle wicks and candlesticks are essentially, I wouldn't say a recipe for disaster, but just something that's potentially going to see itself get corrected eventually. I'm not saying it's going to drop like a rock. I'm just saying that in general, we could very well see, some pretty decent range-bound activity. I'd like to see the price action just kind of hang out here for a little while and then take off. That would warrant the next increase to that level of 89,000, right? So essentially, a lot of different things that could happen and should happen, but we're not there yet. Bottom line, though, is it still looks really good. There's, for the most part, majority of the things that we see here, the indications, are positive, all right? Most of these things are positive in giving us the inclination that it should continue higher. But it would be fantastic to see a little bit more consolidation, particularly right at the 48,800 range, just to get us that little foundational edge to be able to leg up again positively. All right, again, these are all things I like to see traditionally because I come from a traditional market, 15, 16 years ago when I first started trading, and I can tell you that stuff like this has a way of correcting itself. Cryptocurrency is a little different, but it still happens in time. So again, just don't be surprised if the price action comes down eventually. For now, I think it would make sense it's going to continue higher though. It definitely looks like it has that potential. All right, I hope you found benefit here. Of course, if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.